within any organization and between organizations and between an organization and their customers and vendors, there can always be disputes, disagreements, right? And very often these will lead to litigation, and it can be expensive, right? There's an alternative called mediation. And we all need to learn in our organizations how to mediate disputes. It just is a better process. Now, there's a couple of real practical advantages for organizations and for people to use mediation. One, it's a lot less expensive than hiring attorneys and going to court. A lot less. I mean, $1,000 less, multiple $1,000 less. All right? And two, it's private. It's totally private. No one will know what happens in that room unless one of the two parties tells. There's no jury, there's no court reporter, there's no observers, there's no media. It's just person A, person B, and the mediator. And the mediator, under oath, never tells a soul. They even destroy their notes. Now, I'm a mediator, in addition to the other things I do. I won't even give people the names of people that I have mediated for. I won't do it. It is total confidence. Total. All right? And that's an advantage. Now, there's a process to mediation. Mediation is a lot like marriage counseling. All right? It will work if you want it to. It won't. If one of you do not want it to work, it won't work. So the first step in mediation is to get an agreement by both parties. We want to come to agreement to solve this problem. All right? That's the first step. Now, once we reach that agreement, there is a process. And I'm going to tell you how that process works. Two people are there. I'm the mediator. One of them gets to start. And I don't really care who it is. They generally kind of work that out themselves. So person A tells her story. And she can say anything she wants to say. She can use emotion. She can even swear if she wants to. What I won't allow are racial epithets. I will not allow racial slurs to be used or homophobic slurs to be used. But other than that, you're free to tell the story, and you tell it. And when you're finished, I'll ask person B, what did she just say? What do you understand that she just said? Tell me what she said. And that person tells me. And if there's a misunderstanding, we work on getting that straightened out. Person A says, I didn't say that. So we take that point and make sure that it's understood. And then I will say, well, now, as I understand it, this is what you said. Do I have it correct? And so now, finally, all three of us agree with what she said. Now it's person B's turn. Person B gets to tell her side of the story. All right? And that side of the story is told with the same passion and energy and freedom that person A got to use. And when that person is finished, we go through the same process. What did she say? and we work out any differences. And then I say, here's what I heard you say. Do I have it right? And when we all three agree, then we're finished with that phase. We understand what person A said, we understand what she said, we understood what person B said. We both understand. Now, we have the stories, and I've been taking notes. So I will say now, well, I've heard both stories. What do you think are the major issues here? What's the major thing that we need to solve? And person B will get to go first this time. And begin to make a list of what she wants out of this. Here's the problems. Here's the problems that need to be solved. I'll ask person A, do you understand these? Do you understand what she just said the issues are? Yes. Okay. Here's your turn. What do you think they are? And they'll list it. And if they can come to an agreement that these are the issues that we want to solve, we stop right there. We got a list. And I won't say anything about what I think they are because they've come to an agreement. Although I made my list. So now we have a list of the real problems. They've told their stories, and from the big story, we've weaned it down to 2 lists of problems, and we've got them to fairly match each other. Now, they're not exactly the same, but there they are. And if it's a monetary thing, person A may be say $10,000, and person B may say $3,000. But we know there's a monetary issue. Okay? Now, we go back to person A. Which one of these do you think we should work on first? And she'll pick one. And I'll say to person B, what do you think about that? Should we solve this problem first, or would you rather work on another one first? And if she picks a different one, I go back to person A and say, well, what do you think now? Can we work out? Do we want to pick another one that you can agree on, or would you want to change and go with hers? And they'll work it out, and pretty soon they got a priority list. So now we go to problem A. And I go to the person whose turn it is, and say, what do you think we'll do about that? And she may run off and start to explode with another whole story, and I will bring her back and say, no, wait a minute, we've done all of that. What are some solutions to this specific problem that are acceptable to you? Can you give me 1 or 2 or maybe 3 possible solutions that will be acceptable to you? Then to person B, I say, are any of these acceptable to you? If the answer is, well, I could accept number 2, or they could say no. Well, what would be acceptable to you then? Give me some alternatives. Well, now you see I've got maybe 6 alternative solutions, and we can begin to try to work on a compromise on problem A. Right? And if we get problem A solved, we write it down. Right? We write it down. We agree that here's the solution to problem A. Now we move on to problem B. And we go through the same painstaking process of coming to a solution, if at all possible. Now, we might run into a roadblock where there is being absolutely no progress made. And I can call for a timeout and say, I want to have a conference with you individually. And I'll go off with both of them and I'll say, now look, you've agreed to come to a solution or we wouldn't be here. And although this isn't nearly as expensive as going to court, this is going to cost you $300 or $400 for being here with me today. And we are trying to reach a solution. So let's reach one. Think about it. That's all I say. Think about it. And then I go deliver the same message to person B. And we take a potty room break and we get a glass of water apiece and we come back. And I say, now, can we go back to problem B or shall we go on to problem C and come back to B later? What's your choice? Let's solve problem B. And then we go back to work and we attempt to solve it. There will be those times when it just won't work. And I have to write down mediation failed and they can go to court. But not very often. I've only had one mediation fail, and it wasn't because of either of the combatants, if you want to call them that. It was because one of the ladies brought a lawyer with her, and he was so obnoxious and was giving her such nasty advice. Why? He wanted to go to court, get all that money. But it's her right to bring one, and she did, and it didn't work. So I just wrote on the report to the court, mediation failed. I don't have to tell them why, and I won't. Just mediation failed. And we go through all those issues. And some of them are just emotional. Sometimes all she wants is an apology. Just recognize that what you did hurt my feelings really bad. And sometimes that will just open the door to a quick solution. And so we allow emotions to be used. Now, we work out all the issues that we can. We write them down. When I hold meeting, I have a computer and a printer there. And I dictate it, type it, whatever. Make 2 copies. They both sign them. They both have one. I don't even keep one. Remember, this is confidential. I don't even keep a copy. They signed them. They both have them. They're free to go. Now, what if they break it? I don't know. I'm not a judge. There's no fine. I'm giving them an inexpensive, private opportunity to solve a problem. Now, businesses are wise to have people trained in mediation, or to have on contract mediators, or to know some mediators that they can bring in from time to time to solve problems. I have a friend who's a mediator for the U.S. Postal Service in Wisconsin. And he goes and mediates disputes among employees for the Postal Service. So that's mediation. And I'll tell you, it's a good process. Now, I think also, and I encourage you to do this, is to have mediation training for all your employees. Because when they listen to the mediation process, they learn how to think through a problem. And they can get to the point where they can self-mediate, where they can think through a problem, and they don't have to go to court. They don't even have to hire me. They can work through it. And by going to an organization and doing mediation training, and I've done a lot of it at conventions and conferences. If there's a statewide convention of some trade association, I'll go do mediation training for all 400 people there, and I'll have some people from the audience come up and be combatants, be clients, and go at each other. I'll give them a make-believe case, and we'll do it. And people can see how to work through these disputes. And they like it. And I encourage every organization to have mediation instead of litigation, and to have mediation training within their organization.